But she's going to turn around now and put these onto this credit card. So let's do our numbers and make sure that we are adding correctly. So we've got 2 plus 6 is 800. Then we've got plus 50 is 850. And then we've got plus 150. So we're at $1,000 per month of expenses that she's going to be paying anyway. Okay. So we're going to take this 1,000 of income and we're going to put it into the credit card, bringing her balance down to $3,294.88. So the income, when she gets paid, can go sit on the credit card until she is ready, okay? Until she is ready to start charging out these expenses again. All right, so we're going to erase off the expenses and we're going to see what this did. So $1,000 in monthly expenses that she can charge on a credit card. All right, so as the month goes, she's going to be charging this $1,000 out again. So let's add it back in, because now let me first show you, because a lot of people get confused about this. So let's imagine that she goes to the restaurant and she's going to pay $50 for a meal. Okay, so this is food. And then she stops at the gas station, this week sometime, and she puts in $50 more for gas. And then she's going to have the Netflix bill come out, and let's say it's $25. So part of her prescription or subscriptions. And then let's say that she goes out to eat with friends and buys their meal. So she's going to spend $100 more in food. So the point is that it's slowly building back up every month to where she is going to have about $1,000 in expenses on this card here again. Okay. Now, so when she's back up to the $42.94, you're saying, well, what good does that do? Because she still is going to have a balance on the credit card. She's trying to get rid of the balance. But what can we do to start making the balance actually come down instead of just the $14.21? Well, when you put income into any line of credit, it makes them have to reset the interest cycle. Okay. So when the $1,000 goes in, and I would suggest you put this in weekly. Maybe it won't cause a trigger to the credit card to where they'll try to reduce your balance, or I'm sorry, reduce your limit, because you put a big chunk into the credit card. So you don't want your limits to be reduced for sure. So you might want to break this down to where you're putting in 50 a couple or 3 times a week. Maybe you're putting in 200 once a week. Something that you're revolving the credit line more. When I say revolving, that means your income is going in and then your expenses are coming back out, and then your income is going in. So monthly, you should be revolving your credit cards in any line of credit more than one time. They want you to wait until the due date, because if you wait until the due date to make this minimum monthly payment, then all of this interest is going to be applied, which means that you're going to have a balance that they're going to get to charge the interest off of again, and it's going to be just a little less than it was here. Okay, so you have to be thinking, how is the interest applying, and how can I beat the interest at least a little bit so that you're applying more to your balances than you are to their interest. This is a game, and you can win the game, but you just have to know how the game's played. Okay. So if we're using the credit card, it doesn't matter which one. It can't be a store credit card, because store credit cards, you go to Lowe's, you can only charge stuff at Lowe's. We're talking about credit cards that you can charge about everywhere. You can charge onto them. Okay. So back to our scenario here. The $1,000 goes in throughout the month to cover your $1,000 $2,000 in expenses. Now, what happened to this $118 payment when she starts transferring income into this credit card to pay her food, gas, utilities, etc.? Well, the $118 is satisfied. That means that she has just gained $118 in additional cash flow only because she put her income in here to cover these monthly expenses that she's going to pay out anyway. So if she wanted to get really serious about paying down the credit card faster, she would also add the 118 that she's already making for a minimum payment. So we could go ahead and pay that. And she could add her cash flow, which is 205 already per month. Now, so we've got 3294.88. We've added in, this is at the end of the month, so all of our expenses have come back in again. We also applied the 118 and the 205. So 3971.88 would be the ending balance, and then they're going to come in and apply that interest. So let's act like that, we're to the due date, we're to the closing date, and they're getting ready to calculate the interest again. What's it going to look like? Well, this was your high, 4294.88 for the balance. The 3294 or whatever when your income went in here throughout the month, that would be your basic low. And then the 3971 is the ending after the expenses have come back out and you've applied any cash flow that you wanted to apply to help work this credit card down.